I've got two trucks behind me, the 2022 Nissan Frontier and the 2021 Honda Ridgeline. Both have been reworked for their respective model years. And a lot of you guys in the comments give the Ridgeline a really hard time and say it's not a real truck. So in this video, we're gonna put the Ridgeline up against what you really can't argue with, the Frontier. That's definitely a true mid-size truck. And we're gonna see what the differences are between what you guys say is a fake truck and a real truck.
Right now I'm in the Honda Ridgeline. Alex is behind me in the Frontier. And we're about to pull onto the highway, see how this thing goes. There's a 3.5 liter V6. It's not a bad amount of power. It gets down the road. I wouldn't call it fast, but the cool thing about the Honda Ridgeline is that it drives very car-like. So this would be an easy vehicle to live with day to day. You really don't feel like you're driving a truck, and I know that's why a lot of people dislike the Ridgeline, but it makes it an easy machine to live with.
Driving this around, you definitely can tell that it's a little bit more macho and truck-like than the Ridgeline. The first thing you notice right off the bat is the steering. Much heavier here in this Pro 4X Frontier than it is in the Ridgeline. But this is also body on frame, so you know you're gonna feel some more bumps and vibrations coming through into the cab. You definitely can tell that this is a truck with the bed on the back, whereas the Ridgeline, unless you look behind you, you kind of can't tell. It drives like an SUV or a crossover. Still though, in this Frontier, a very good ride, nothing to complain about. And it's a mid-sized truck, so, you know, really good size for navigating through cities and whatnot, but still tons of capability. All right, so let's do a little walk around of these two trucks. I've got Case behind the camera, he's gonna chime in a little bit too. We'll start off with styling. So, redesigned look for 2021 on the Ridgeline, new grille, new front end, definitely looks more macho than it used to, but coming up here to the Frontier, definitely more macho than the Ridgeline even still. They both have kind of the squared off grille on the front, but the Frontier sits a little bit higher off the ground. It's also got these orange painted recovery hooks and a skid plate up front, so definitely has more of a macho truck look. But not a bad look on the Ridgeline, especially with these wheels. They've kind of got this fake beadlock look to them with these divots that are cut in all the way around. Not a bad look at all. I like the bronze wheels with the HPD center caps and really, really big side cladding over the fenders there. So good look on both trucks. Let's take a look at the wheels and tires real quick. So definitely a bigger, meatier tire, more sidewall on the Frontier. Not quite as much on the Ridgeline, but looking at the tread of these two tires, they're both definitely more of a road going option. So they'll handle a little bit of off-roading, but if you're gonna do anything serious in either of these trucks, you're gonna need to upgrade tires. Why don't you, Case, go around and pop the hood on the Ridgeline, and I'll pop the hood on the Frontier so we can take a look.
Well, my hands are kind of full of cameras, so why don't you start with the Frontier?
There we go.
I'll talk a little bit about the motor.
Good.
Yeah, there we
You've
go.
got both hands full.
This guy. Yeah, so under the hood of the Frontier, we got a 3.8 liter V6 that Alex is about to show you once he gets in gear. Come on now. 310 horsepower, 281 pound-feet of torque. You've got a 9-speed automatic transmission, and really, the big differentiating factor here is that you can get, of course, the Frontier in 2-wheel drive, but you can spec it with 4-wheel drive that has a low range. That makes a big difference for off-roading, and of course, body on frame, so yeah, it's more of an off-roader than the Ridgeline. Is unibody, and the Ridgeline is standard all-wheel drive, which is nice because obviously standard base model Frontiers are 2-wheel drive. But this standard all-wheel drive Ridgeline does not have a low range, so it's not going to be as much of an off-roader. Now, under this hood, in terms of an engine, you have a 3.5 liter V6, 280 horsepower, and 262 pound-feet of torque. Also a 9-speed auto, just like the Frontier.
Yeah, good engine options in both, very similar setups with both being V6s and both having 9 speeds. Let's jump on into the interiors, start with the Ridgeline, see what the differences are there.
Yeah, this is actually one of the best things about the Honda Ridgeline because these seats are unbelievably comfortable.
They're super comfy. Nice cloth material, so really soft and plush, but kind of captain's chairs too. So we've got a nice armrest here. Lots of space between the driver and passenger, especially for a mid-sized truck. Huge center console area down here. Starting it up, not a particularly huge fan of this screen right here. That's kind of one of my complaints about this interior.
Yeah, it looks pretty old school.
It's a little old school. We'll let it fire up there. But while it's booting up, automatic climate control. You've also got Honda sensing technology, so lane keep assist, all the Honda safety features we've come to know in Hondas over the last few years. Here now the screen has come to life, and it's just not super crisp, not super colorful, just kind of a blurry blob of red. I think they could do a much better job with that screen, but not bad. Push button transmission, just overall a really comfortable interior. This drives like an SUV, and sitting inside of it you feel like you're in an SUV or a crossover.
Now let's jump into the Frontier. So we got to check out this interior. This is a pretty specced out Frontier. As you can see, it's a Pro 4X. And this interior is, of course, brand new.
Yeah, so high trim level, so nice leather seats with the Pro 4X stitched into it. You've got a nice storage pocket up here, and like Case said, this is an all-new interior. So the screen's gonna be much better. You've got a nice glossy finish on it. The colors are way brighter. It's about the same size. This one might be a little bit bigger, but it just looks better. I mean, everything about it. The colors are better, it's brighter, it's crisper. So much better screen here in the Nissan. Some cool orange accents and good materials everywhere. Standard pullback transmission, unlike the Ridgeline. And check this out, selectable four-wheel drive between two-wheel, four high, and four low.
Yeah, all of that is really nice. That all contributes to this being a much more trucky truck as compared to the Honda Ridgeline. And that is continued when we get out here to the back. You can get the Frontier with either a 5-foot or a 6-foot bed. But one thing that you are missing on this is that really cool storage bin underneath the bed, which we'll show you on the Ridgeline.
Yeah, you've also got some nice tie downs here, so these are of course going to be an option, but they slide back and forth. You've got a rail up front for that too.
For those of you who have given up on this Ridgeline being able to truck, check this out. Look at all these tie downs. There's two in every corner. There's two up front on each side. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, and for all you guys who say this isn't a truck, I mean, look at this big bed, but also, can your truck do this? Locking storage in the rear, that's
look at that.
Weatherproof.
We've got all our gear back here, and it's like it disappears, and there's so much extra space in here. You can see a spare tire back there with the jack, and this is also a lockable bin.
Yeah, so a lot of guys will put fiberglass toppers on their trucks to make sure that things don't get stolen, just added security. With this, you don't even need that. Just lock that up, you're good to go. But it doesn't end there, because there is another latch under here. Pull that open, and now loading and unloading heavier items is way easier, because this tailgate swings sideways, and then you can walk right up to the bumper and load what you need to.
Yeah, so that way you don't have to lug things on the tailgate and then slide it forward. Definitely makes it a bit more convenient. Now, we've got to look down here at the hitch. So the Ridgeline has towing up to 5,000 pounds and up to 1,583 pounds of payload, which for a mid-sized truck is pretty decent, but it definitely doesn't beat out the Frontier. Now, this particular Frontier does not have a hitch on it, but if you spec out the right version of the Frontier with a towing package, you can get up to 6,720 pounds of towing and 1,610 pounds of payload. So a bit better than the Ridgeline, but not by a crazy amount.
No.
I mean, 1,700 pounds of extra towing is pretty good, but not a whole lot more payload.
No, I mean, look, if you want to really load up your truck and haul heavy weights, the mid-sized truck probably isn't for you anyway. But they're pretty close. If you want the maximum capability, definitely go with the Nissan. There's a couple other things I want to show you. So, like a lot of full-size trucks, these seats fold up, and they actually latch into place super securely. Now you can load bigger items here. The only downside to this is there's a little bit of a plastic lip here, so some, you know, flat items like coolers might not, you know, stay super stationary while you're driving around. But very usable back seat, big cup holder here, and a comfortable place to be. This seat is set to my 5'10" height if I were sitting in the front seat, so I'm sitting behind myself, plenty of leg room, and the middle seat is pretty spacious too. A lot of times in smaller trucks like this, you're fighting for elbow room, which you still might be a little bit, but it's a pretty roomy back seat. Let's check out the Frontier.
Let's check out the Frontier. I actually have not had a chance to look at the back seat of this Frontier. I do like that it has leather seats with this cool stitching.
So yeah, same deal here. These will fold up. We've got some medic kits and some Nissan accessories in these little plastic storage bins here. These storage bins can be taken out with these 3 little levers here, but you do have a little bit of a hump on the floor, so not quite the flat floor and the usable space that the Ridgeline has. The seats also kind of don't fold up quite as flat into the wall, but still very usable, and not much to complain about in terms of back seats in either of these vehicles, and these latch up as well, so super solid.
Yeah, now we have to get on to one very important difference between these two vehicles, because of course the more trucky your vehicle gets, that affects your fuel mileage. Now the Frontier gets 17 miles per gallon, city 22, highway, and 19 combined, and the Ridgeline gets 18 city, 24 highway, 21 combined. So the combined number is 2 mpg better with the Ridgeline, which is just one of the many ways that you kind of get the feeling that the Ridgeline is a better daily driver if you're doing a lot of commuting and everything on road. Also, starting prices, there's a big difference here. The Frontier can start as low as $27,840, and the Ridgeline starts at $36,490. But the way that these two are spec'd out, as you see them right now, this Ridgeline is just under $41,000, and the Frontier is just over $44,000.
Yep, so they're pretty, once you get all the features loaded into them, they kind of even out. But if you're going for more of a base model, you're probably going to get a better deal in the Nissan. If you need a truck to go off-road, this Frontier is definitely going to be the clear winner, being body on frame and having a true low range. But if you need a truck to haul around your stuff, these both do the job perfectly well. And the Ridgeline might be even a little bit better, being so comfortable and driving like an SUV and getting better fuel economy. So there you have it. I think we've definitely proved that the Ridgeline is totally a truck. It can haul, it can tow, it's got some really clever storage options, it's super comfortable, good on fuel. The only thing you really don't get is body on frame and a true low range, but unless you're going off-road all the time, do you really need that stuff? I think the answer is definitely not. Sure, it might not look quite as macho as some of the other options, but they really upped the style for 2021, and I think it's much better looking now than it used to be. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on these two trucks. Which one would you go for? And we'll catch you in the next video.